welcome back to the Glenn V Soccer Show. I know I've been away for a few weeks, almost a month. For those of you who had been wondering where I went, no, I did not die. And to prove that, I have one of my good buddies here and soccer expert, John Kirka. Both of us, just if I can say, have been vaccinated recently. And no, I did not get thrombosis, not even in my head. Though I did not get the Johnson and Johnson, I did get the Pfizer one. I think Johnny got here the Johnson and Johnson. Tell us, Johnny, have you gotten thrombosis anywhere, or are you about to die?
No, I fit the category of the recipients of the Johnson and Johnson vaccine. You have to be ill-informed and ready to let anyone jab you with anything in the arm. So no. Although I did have a period of about 4 or 5 days of fever and body aches, but I'm still happy to be counted amongst the living.
There you go. I mean, close to death, but not close enough. Gosh darn it. Anyhow,
not close enough. Yeah.
We're back talking to our favorite topics, which is soccer, especially Americans in Europe. But this is a good show, actually a post show, for what recently happened this week in the Champions League edition 2021. It's very good games all around. I know we had Bayern Munich, which in the premier game against PSG, which was a great game. I thought it was very intense. We also had Manchester City against Dortmund, right? In the second leg of it. And we had as well the other results, which were Liverpool against Real Madrid, correct? And what was the last game, Johnny?
Did you mention Chelsea and Porto?
Yeah, Chelsea and Porto that way as well. I know you want to comment on the results. We can go ahead and start off. Well, we can start off right there on Chelsea and Porto. I think the result was 1-0 Porto, correct? But they had already been winning 2-0 in the aggregate before. So
That's
what did
right.
you think of that game?
I think Chelsea looks organized. I think Tuchel has them fairly organized in the back, fairly organized in the midfield. Their problem is in the attack. You know, they don't know what they're doing in the attack. They look like a team that, outside of their four, I think it was Crystal Palace where they planted 4 goals on Crystal Palace. I think Pulisic accounted for 2 goals, and that's when they put Kai Havertz as their forward up top. He's not a forward, by the way, right? They have Abraham, Giroud, and Timo Werner, all 3 forwards who are not on form. But they're organized in the midfield. They're organized in the back. They righted the ship with Mendy as their goalkeeper.
Yeah,
but
Mendy is
it's just a
good.
team that he is pretty good. They're just a team that struggles to score, and they really struggle to score. So it's going to be interesting for them going up against Real Madrid, because I think Real Madrid is kind of the opposite. Their attack looks organized now, whereas their defense, they have injuries to obviously Ramos and Nacho, right? So it's going to be a good matchup of 2 teams that have strengths and different strengths. So it's a really intriguing matchup. For me, I'm more intrigued by that matchup than I am about PSG and Man City. Although that's good too.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good matchup. I saw the Real Madrid like on the other game that went on, which was Liverpool Real Madrid. Real Madrid, as you can see, the week before on the aggregate was already winning 3-1, right? But so I saw part of that game, even though I was more interested in the PSG Bayern game. But I saw a Liverpool team that was really not very well organized in their attacking front, and they were just repeating the same plays. I only saw maybe 1 or 2 dangerous attacks by them. But Real Madrid did look organized in the defense for that sense, though they were not very pushed really hard. I don't know if Chelsea's going to push them as hard as Liverpool did, even though I didn't see Liverpool as very organized in their attack. Maybe they can cancel each other out, I guess. But Real Madrid does still have some pretty good players in Benzema and Junior up on front, and they had a pretty decent midfield in Tony Cross and uh, the Croatian guy. I always forget his name.
Modric and Casemiro.
Modric.
Yeah, in fact,
Yes. So
in that first game, really the player of the game, I know Junior Vinicius scored 2 goals, but actually the player of that game was Tony Kroos. He was
Tony
sensational in
Kroos.
that first game against Liverpool. And he put together, on the heels of that, he put another great performance against Barcelona over the weekend. It's really, people don't talk enough about Zidane, right, as a coach, but he works some definite magic with his Real Madrid clubs, and the job he's doing there, he's a good coach, and I feel he doesn't, probably because he's just recognized as one of the greatest midfielders of his generation, that maybe people don't give him the credit of being such a good coach. But I love the way their
That and
midfield
his
is
bald
playing.
head.
And he will take that bald head and he will spear you. He will spear you to kingdom come if you talk any smack about him. So watch
we
it.
go over
Okay,
to the other games, which
that is like a
was
battering ram. That's like the battering ram the FBI and the ATF uses when they want to crash into drug dealers' home. They don't even use the battering rams anymore. No, they bring Zinedine Zidane out, right, and then he just smacks it a couple times.
But we
door
to the
falls
other
right
one
in.
with Man U. I was kind of disappointed. I did wanted to see more of Erling Haaland more in the Champions League, but what can you do? Manchester City is a pretty good team. Now they're going to go up against PSG, which I think is the best team out of the 4 that are left. Even though they did get unlucky in this game against Bayern, I was watching it minute by minute, and even though Bayern was insisting, they didn't look that dangerous in the first few minutes of the first half. I always thought that PSG had the more scoring chances, and Neymar had like 2-3 goals that were denied by the crossbars, and then 2 other ones just by one of the best goalies in the world, which is Neuer. So I don't think that'll happen in a regular team and a regular goalie. So that I think PSG comes in with this advantage. If I had a bet, had to lay money on it, I would just put PSG in there. The one thing I don't like about PSG, John, I don't know if you agree with me, with as much talent as they have, I hate how they just throw themselves and do counterattacks. It's like they don't take ever the initiative of a game or something. I don't know. They might just like to be that explosive of a team, I guess, where they just grab the ball and go. I personally like the Bayern style where they have possession and just be relentless. What do you think?
It's kind of it's kind of like it's a reflection of the coach, right? Pochettino is kind of that coach when he's gonna press really high. He's gonna try to turn the ball over and counterattack, right? He's not so much interested in. He's kind of like Jurgen Klopp, these new age managers that are kind of the anti-possession football clubs. I agree with you. I'm always partial. I mean, look, you have in your background the Camp Nou, right? Mescun Club, right? So we all, we get it. It's more than a club. It's a style of play. We like the possession, the nice patient build up, and that perfect goal. But the anti ticky tack of Pochettino and Jurgen Klopp has certainly been successful. And in fact, Bayern even do it, right? Bayern, when it was very successful, they're not holding the ball very much. They're counterattacking, they're pressing. So
I understand that in lesser talented teams where that you need to kind of give up possession and just take the opportunities that you get. Yeah. But we're talking about PSG. You got up front probably one of the best duos in up front in all of Europe, which is Mbappe and Neymar. And you got a pretty good Di Maria there that can just invent anything he wants with his feet. Then you got the Mozambique, and you got Drexler in the midfield. That's
Yeah,
pretty
and you're
good.
forgetting, yeah, and you're forgetting Icardi and Keane, who are
Oh
really hard
yes,
workers up front. Yeah,
and they just
yeah,
can come in and change a game for you as well. That's one thing I don't like. It kind of reminds me of the French team of 2018, where though they were highly talented, they would always just choose to just kick it in second gear the whole game. You know, they didn't want to just push in the accelerator and really show that they can probably blow people away. You know, and that's one thing that could be a weakness in a team like that they just let people let the ball. Well, if you got half a talent, if you let the other team just take 60% or 70% of the possession, and if you got half a talent, they're gonna score on you.
now when you have Taylor Navas protecting the
Oh,
sticks, the guy is.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Well, I have to. Come on, you brought me on with the second most famous Tico on planet Earth, and I have to mention the first famous Tico, the most
I do
famous.
gotta
And
give it up to Navas. He's a wall. Uh,
I have tell you, I don't know why he's a brilliant goalkeeper, and he's been a brilliant
He's definitely
goalkeeper for.
underrated by the whole community, especially the European community. I don't think so much America. In Latin America, he's very admired. But when it comes to Europe, I don't know. Do you might think, I don't want to get into political or prejudice here, but do you think it's probably prejudice from that end?
No, I don't, because you have guys. I mean, think of all the other South American goalkeepers you have across Europe, right? And
Yeah, but they are
like
usually in world champion countries, like maybe
Brazil. So you're
Brazil or
saying because
Argentina. Uh-huh.
it could be a bias about him being from
A
Costa
smaller
Rica,
type, yeah.
smaller country, smaller Central American country. Yeah, totally. I think so. What I think part of it too has to go with the move to these goalkeepers recently who are all about playing the ball at your feet or being like Manuel Neuer or Marc-Andre Ter Stegen, where they're adventurous and how far they venture away from their goal to help their defense, becoming a de facto center defender.
Yeah.
That's not really Kaylor. Kaylor Navas is really just this dominant shot. He's a dominant presence in his box, and he excels at that. It's maybe not sexy, but you know what it does? It wins Champions Leagues. It wins games. He's been sensational at PSG. He was sensational at Real Madrid. He always gets passed over for the new shiny toy, but in the end, he comes out. You're a fool to bet against Keller Navas. He's awesome, and I'm really, I'm hoping he can go ahead and, he's probably the reason why I'm cheering for PSG. So yeah, I hope they win for his sake.
So what's your predictions in these semifinals? Give me a Swami prediction with some goals. It's home and away again.
Yeah, so
So we have the first match,
love.
Chelsea, Real Madrid. And do you know who's going to
Yeah,
play home first?
I don't. Do you?
No, I don't think they've gotten that out yet. That's actually quite
No.
important.
All right, I'll do first prediction. You do the next one. So go sticking with the Chelsea Real Madrid. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Real Madrid. They found a really nice form. Uh, Hope looks like Varane, Nacho will be healthy. If that's the case, with the midfield playing the way they are, Benzema and Junior Vinicius up top, providing goals, I think it's a team that is organized enough to beat Chelsea. It'll be close, but I think they're gonna. I think they will pull it off. I could see an aggregate between the two clubs, something like 2-1 for Real Madrid.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to go the opposite. I think Chelsea pulls it off. It'll be a big upset. And it'll be close, maybe like 1-0 1-1 the first game and 1-0 in Chelsea.
Interesting. And does Christian Pulisic have a goal in this? Do we get to see a goal from?
He's going to affect it. He's going to affect the game.
When Chelsea are at their attacking best, it has a lot to do with an in-form Christian Pulisic.
He did pretty good last weekend, you know.
Absolutely. Even though I know he flubbed his lines a few times against Porto, but he was in the game against Porto, the game against Crystal Palace. He really is. He doesn't get enough credit for how fearless a player he is. A player who takes the ball at his feet, moves forward. He makes good decisions. He's a fearless player. I like him a lot. I know he's fallen on hard times with his injury record. But if Chelsea are going to beat Real Madrid, it will be in large part it'll have to be through good performances of Christian Pulisic. A lot of people don't realize how important he is to the club.
Yeah. All right, the second game, which is the stellar, well, on paper at least, two good clubs, Manchester City and PSG. What is your prediction?
Now, I predict that Neymar will be the first person on planet Earth to get COVID-19 3 times, which is very difficult to do. That's astoundingly difficult to do, and only something you can accomplish when you're partying in Ibiza every other weekend like he's doing. So aside from that prediction, right, if he's not going to catch COVID for the third time in a half-year period of time, then I'm going to agree with you. I love PSG. I love the way, let's face it, Man City hasn't even been all that convincing in the last month, right? They really haven't. Who's going to score for them? You have Sergio Aguero, who's coming off the bench. Yes, good, but he looks tired. He looks a little old. Doesn't look 100% healthy. Who else? Raheem Sterling's not on the greatest goal scoring record. It's kind of a weird Man City team, right? It's not a Man City team that looks like they're all that dangerous. They're organized. They're great in the midfield and in defense.
What about
they keep possession really well. What's that? Oh yeah, De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Yeah, De Bruyne is great. He's on a great run of form. He'll have to play a little more forward, but yeah, everything on Chelsea, everything on Man City goes through De Bruyne. So it'll be interesting. But I think PSG, they look like a team on a mission. They can score. Paredes and Verratti are playing very well in the midfield. The defense looks great. Keylor Navas is his typical self. Yeah, I'm going to go with PSG, and I think they could score on Man City, and so I think it'll be a more scoring affair than Real and Chelsea.
I agree with that. I think if PSG, like we saw against Bayern, if they can score early and if they can score fast, it'll be over really fast. I think, if they can really score in 1, 2, possibly even 3 goals in one half, they have the capability of doing that. I can see them doing that because of the forwards that they have,
Yep. I have one question for you. Of the 4 teams, what would be the greatest story if you think about it, of the 4 teams, and if you imagine who goes on to win it? What would be the narrative that you think would be the most storybook that you would like to see of the 4? Right? And I'm not saying what you think will happen. You gave your predictions for these 2 semifinals, but what do you think would be the best story amongst the 4 teams for one of them to go on and win?
If it was like a storybook,
yeah,
I would like to see Chelsea win it and have Pulisic win it for them.
I couldn't agree with you more. Just to see,
an
American number,
Americans,
to get an American number 10 to carry them to the promised land would be incredible.
Him playing in the championship game and winning it, scoring in it, that'd be so awesome,
I totally agree. I think the only other number 2 I can see in this would be Zinedine Zidane coming back, saving his club from real disaster. They have and for him to not only win the Champions League, but they also have a good chance of winning La Liga, and to pull off a double. in a year where there was no. I mean, there was 6 months ago. You would never have said they had a chance to do that. That'd
Well,
be a
all of
pretty
them
cool
got
story too. But
storylines, John. You know, like
yeah,
yeah, like Man City. Then you got Guardiola going back and doing it without Barcelona. That's another
yep,
storyline there. Then you got PSG. There's several storylines there. You got Neymar going back and doing it without Barcelona, and finally Mbappe consolidating himself as one of the top forwards in the world. You know that can consolidate himself, and then you got the Keylor Navas revenge story, I guess.
yeah. No,
Against
hey,
Real
this is what.
Madrid, you know. Uh-huh.
You have nothing but superstars. It's the best competition. Seriously, I'm not even going to say best soccer competition. It's the best competition, sports competition
It's the best
in the
soccer. I'm
world.
saying it right now on my show, and most people probably will criticize me and put comments. And we've talked about this all the time. This competition is the competition of the world, the best played soccer. The World Cup has not been like that for decades. The World Cup, if you think about it, and we've discussed this, just think of it what it is. It's just a selection of players that never play with each other, you know, and maybe they play in, you know, qualification games. How many reps are you going to make, you know? And plus, they're not always the best. Like, sure, you may have countries with very good players like France, you know, or, you know, some Brazilians, but they may have maybe four all-stars, the good ones. And then you got little countries with maybe one or two players that are good. But here you have teams full of all-stars, right? It's like all-stars against all-stars, all-star teams, you know? So that's
Oh,
why it's the best competition in the world in soccer, you know?
absolutely. France can only, as good a team as they can only select from the best players in France. Real
Yep.
Madrid, PSG, Man City, they can select from the best players in the world.
In the
It's
world,
awesome competition. Yeah.
you in these four teams, you can make one super team, you know, from these four teams that are left. And you could make even like I would predict maybe two super teams from the four teams that are left there. You
So
have Mhm.
you're
you
saying like the
have possibly
Thundercats.
the
The
best
Thundercats are.
positions.
You know what I think? I think all four teams should do like the Thundercats, and they should like just like build a gigantic Neymar. You know what I mean? Like a gigantic Neymar. Like ends up being like 12 stories high, right? And he's still trying to party on Ibiza, right? He's still doing the same thing he does ordinarily. He's partying in Ibiza.
He's probably doing it
He's
right
flopping.
now.
Oh yeah, no, of course he is. What are you talking about? Hey, but I
Well,
gotta
as
say,
you
this
can
is the
see,
best
one of
show.
my
This is the #1 rated show. I mean, if you're not tuning into this show, I don't know what's wrong with you. What are you doing on a Thursday night? You know what I mean? I mean, what are you Googling COVID vaccine conspiracy theories? What are you
thrombosis.
doing? To tune into this show, it's the #1 rated show for the network of people who know you kind of well, and it's to the stars. You have a great show here.
Yes, well, I mean, we try to please everybody, but as you can see, you can't please not everyone. But I am glad that I'm back. I guess we're gonna wrap up the show now, but I'm glad that I'm back. I'm glad that you're back. I thought you were really dead, but as you can see, your wife wasn't so lucky. So anyhow,
Yeah, you know what? When I was going through that period of time where I thought the Johnson and Johnson vaccine was going to take me out, I thought about my family and friends, and I thought, if I die, no, I can't make them happy. Why would I want to do that to them?
okay,
It's
well, we'll
good to
see you
see you,
next
man.
time. Next time we'll
By the
have a
way,
show.
how did you make it to Spain? I thought Europe still has a ban on us, right? You're over at the Camp Nou, right? And they still haven't allowed anyone in the stands, from what I can see. But how are you there in Europe?
Well, you know, I wrapped myself in a pickle jar, and then I was able to be shipped here by FedEx. So I
Okay.
arrived at the Camp Nou, you know, and then socially distanced. I said hi to Messi, you know, right over here. And now I'm
I
here.
just hope you didn't have the same FedEx delivery person that comes and delivers shit to my house. He just kicks the boxes over the gate. It's just like, he's horrible. I hope you didn't have that guy.
Well, it's beautiful out here in Spain. I think I'm gonna go to a COVID-filled bar later on. Anyhow,
okay.
who cares? I'm
Yeah,
vaccinated. So screw all you guys who don't want to be vaccinated anyhow.
oh man.
Just kidding.
What a year,
Whatever
huh?
you choose. Anyhow, Johnny, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope all is well, and we'll see you next time for the post-game results. Do we have a calendar on the games?
No, I mean, no.
Okay, well, we'll just do a show
human being.
afterwards, but that would be okay.
Yeah, we'll do a show afterwards. Yeah.
All right. Peace out. See you guys later.